Okay, welcome to the Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management weekly webinar series. My name is Jim Hendricks. I'm the owner of Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management. We're getting going just a little bit early, so we're going to give another minute or so just for people to arrive into the lobby or into the meeting room. So we'll get going officially here in about 1 minute. I just realized now that I'd started the live presentation a little bit early, so we'll wait 1 more minute or so for people to come in. I'm joined today by Sean Hendricks, who also is my brother, and an attorney and a financial advisor here at Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management, and also joined by Jim Madel, who is my best friend since kindergarten and who is also a financial advisor here at Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management. We have another 30 seconds or so for people to join in. We had a lot of registrants for this presentation today, so we'll give a few more minutes for people to file in, and then we'll officially get started. Okay, and I think it is officially 11:30, so we will go ahead and get started. To start with an introduction today, today's session was titled Medicare 101, and we were going to have a guest speaker help us with today's presentation. His name is Joshua O'Brien, and he's a Medicare expert. Unfortunately, Joshua has had a death in the family and is unable to join us today. And while I was actually looking forward to today's presentation very much as well. I've seen the presentation and I've learned quite a bit from it, but unfortunately, I am not quite as qualified as Joshua to talk about Medicare and all of the nuances that go along with Medicare and Medicare supplemental policies and Medicare Advantage programs and things like that. I know enough to be dangerous, but I am not a subject matter expert per se. So unfortunately, I'm not qualified to present today's originally scheduled presentation. So what we are going to do is we're just going to rehash the last presentation that I personally gave in this series. And that was, if you're thinking about hiring an advisor, why choose Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management? We'll also open it up for questions and answers too. We might have a little more time for that than we might have normally had. So I'm going to start sharing my screen. And once we do that, then we'll get going with the version of that presentation. For all the people who were expecting to see the Medicare presentation today, we've got your contact information and we will send you an invite to our replacement presentation whenever we can get Joshua or another Medicare expert on site to provide that presentation again. So again, we still plan to do the Medicare presentation. It was heavily registered compared to some of our others, and we will go forward with that again. And we'll let everybody know on our distribution list who was planning on attending this one when we can reschedule that again. Our original presenter today, for people who just walking in, Joshua O'Brien, unfortunately had a death in the family and is unable to present today. So I'm going to be providing a presentation that is, if you're thinking about hiring an advisor, why Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management. And this is a kind of a rehash of one that we did a few weeks ago. So I'll get going with this, and then we'll have time again, definitely for questions and answers at the end of the presentation. So when you're looking for an advisor, we try to stand out among the crowd to a degree. Financial advisors are commoditized. So, but there are certain things that we can do to be different from one another. So I wanted to kind of highlight the things that make Hendricks Wealth and Estate Management a little bit different than the average financial advisor out there. So what you will get from us is a diversified and efficient management of a portfolio, liquidity, and the reason we mention liquidity is because we do not use products in our practice where people are locked in for any period of time or where you can't get out. Things that might cost you a bunch of money to get out of, or that you just literally can't get out of at all in some cases. So without even at all, there are many products out there. I won't get into the details of them, but some things, when you buy into them, your ability to sell out of them can be limited based on how many other people are trying to liquidate it or by time. And we don't use any of those products at all in our practice. And then you're also going to get regular monitoring of your investments. We have a very stringent process that we follow when it comes to managing investments, and how we follow them and how we track them, and then also how we review them. And so you can feel comfortable that your investments are being regularly monitored when you are working with us. What you're not going to get from us is a mingling of insurance and investments. We generally do not recommend annuities at all. Annuities are a mixture of an investment product and an insurance product, and they come with a lot of pitfalls and a lot of catches. I could spend a whole hour just talking about annuities and why we don't use them. Maybe we'll save that for a later date, but for now, just suffice to say that you will not get a mingling of insurance and investments with us. We also generally do not recommend cash value life insurance. We're big fans of life insurance for people who have income that is relied upon by other people, but we generally recommend term life insurance. I own 3 life insurance policies on myself. They are all term life insurance policies, no cash value life insurance, and certainly no annuities. Another thing you won't get from us is commission-based products. We are a fee-only firm. We are generally compensated using fees that are based upon assets under management. We do not collect any commissions. We do not have any financial incentive to sell product A over product B, and we do not receive any commissions for anything that we sell. And we also don't use products that don't let you get out without high surrender charges. This kind of ties into the liquidity thing that I mentioned earlier. But a lot of times things like annuities and cash value life insurance products come with a surrender charge because the person who sells that product gets paid a lofty commission when they sell it. And in order to let you out, the underlying company that offers that product would need to recoup the commissions that they gave that person who sold it. And the way they do that is via a surrender charge that charges you usually a fair amount of money if you get out within a certain period of time during the first several years often of that product. So, and you're also not going to get a set it and forget it, where we put you in investments and then we don't even change them or think about them or even look at them for a long period of time. Again, we do regularly monitor our investments, so you know that you're not just getting a set it and forget it portfolio when you work with us. From a financial planning perspective, what you will get from us is a proprietary one-page, easy to understand plan. We built our own financial planning model out of the desire for simplicity. I've seen and I've kicked the tires on lots and lots and lots of different financial planning programs that are out there over the years, and I still do this on a regular basis. I still go back and look at financial planning programs that are out there. They're not prohibitively expensive, so cost is not a factor in why we don't use them. But effectiveness, efficiency, and simplicity are the reasons that we do use what we use and the reason we built what we built. We have a fully comprehensive financial plan that we use that takes everything into consideration: inflation, Social Security, pensions, life expectancy, various rates of return, various different retirement ages, everything you can think of does include, but the output is on one page, and we can show you those variables all on one page. We don't have to sift through 60 pages of fancy charts and graphs, and our goal is to have you to be able to understand that plan just in that one easy page. We can tell you how much you can spend each year in retirement, and then we do monitor it for you. We can show you what age you can retire. We can show you how much you're likely to leave for your heirs, or how much you need to maintain your current lifestyle. Our actual goal for all of our clients is at square one. We want you to at least be able to be on pace to maintain your current standard of living for the rest of your life, whether you're retired now or whether you're about to retire or whether you're 25 years away from retirement. Our main base goal is for you to be able to maintain your current standard of living for the rest of your living years. And then we give our clients, our access to our retirement plan via a private client portal. So you can log in and see your plan at any time. So what you're not going to get from us is a canned software program that churns out, like I mentioned, page after page of pretty charts, and they might look real nice, but neither you nor sometimes the advisor even understands all of those pages or all those charts and graphs that you get in a nice, oftentimes leather binder that you're charged a nice premium for by other firms. So you don't get that from us. Everybody gets their written plan included in their services with us. We feel like we cannot make adequate investment recommendations without having it be part of a larger financial plan. So therefore, we don't feel very good about charging for financial plans when we feel like we can't do our job effectively without that plan. So again, more about what you will get and what you won't get from a financial planning perspective with us. That's just part of the equation, though. We also are very concerned about tax efficiency. This is becoming a bigger and bigger thing with the passage of the Secure Act, and I'll explain a little bit about what we mean by that. So what you are going to get from us is a plan to make you tax efficient. This could include things like Roth conversions, things like qualified charitable distributions. For those of you who don't know what that is, at some point you're required to take distributions from your IRA. That actually starts at age 73. But once you reach age 70 and a half, which used to be the age you had to take distributions from your IRAs, but they didn't change this rule. You can still start your qualified charitable distributions at age 70 and a half now instead of 73. And that allows you to deduct your amounts that you're required to take out of your IRAs off of your income, even if you're not itemizing your deductions on your tax return. It gets a little complex, but in a nutshell, it's a way to guarantee tax deductibility of any charitable contributions that you make if you have those required minimum distributions go directly to a charity right out of your IRA. And that is called, again, a QCD, or a qualified charitable distribution. This is becoming a big one. We take your beneficiaries' tax brackets into consideration. If you've got, one analogy we like to use quite often is if you've got one beneficiary that's going to be a rocket scientist and another one that's going to be a dog walker, those are both noble jobs, noble professions, but they probably have separate incomes. And because they have separate incomes, they're likely in different tax brackets. So if your beneficiaries are in different tax brackets, what the IRS says now with the passage of the Secure Act is that when the next generation inherits IRAs, they must take those distribution. They must completely liquidate those accounts within 10 years of the time they inherit them. These are, for traditional IRAs, these are taxable distributions. So if you've got two beneficiaries, one in a high tax bracket, one in a low tax bracket, and you've got an IRA and maybe something that an asset that will not have tax owed upon inheritance, like real estate, like a house, like your primary residence, then maybe you'd want to think about leaving more of your primary residence to the higher earner and more of your IRA to the lower earner. That way it makes the entirety of your estate more tax efficient, and we can do the math to help you figure out how to best optimize those distributions so that all of your beneficiaries win and the IRS loses in the total distribution, just by making your asset distribution percentages a little different. We're still going to make all of your beneficiaries treated equally financially if that's your goal, but we're just going to make it more tax efficient so that, again, all of your beneficiaries come out ahead financially versus what they otherwise would have, and the IRS comes out behind compared to what they otherwise would have. So what you're not going to get from us is you're not going to get automatic recommendations that every dollar be invested with us. I've seen this happen with other financial advisors quite a bit. Sometimes it may be more in your best interest for you to invest money elsewhere. For instance, something like a 401k plan where you're not full yet taking advantage of the full company match that you might get. Well, we would never recommend that a client invest with us before they have the opportunity to collect free money from their employer. So we're not going to automatically recommend that every dollar is invested with us. There's many other potential scenarios, too numerous to mention, but we're not automatically going to recommend that every dollar get invested with our firm. You're also not going to get planning software that doesn't even consider beneficiary planning, like I just mentioned. I have kicked the tires on every major financial planning piece of software out there. And as of early 2026, I can say that as far as I'm aware, none of the major software providers take beneficiary distribution planning into consideration when they're doing financial planning. Some of them will take your tax efficiency into account, like try to make you more tax efficient during your lifetime, but they don't take the next step and start planning for your estate distribution to be tax efficient for your beneficiaries. And that often can be a much, much bigger thing than being tax efficient just for you. So we make sure that we're encompassing all of your long-term best goals into mind. And sometimes that might be to optimize your tax efficiency, but sometimes it might be to take your beneficiaries into account too, if they stand to inherit a fair amount of money that includes both taxable and non-taxable assets to them. So again, there's a look at things you'll get from a tax efficiency standpoint, and then communication. What you will get from us is you are going to get regularly scheduled interviews or reviews on intervals that you will determine. So if you want to meet with us twice a year, we meet twice a year. Our default is typically once per year, but we have clients that we're meeting with every quarter as well. We don't charge extra for that. And again, we want to make sure that you're actively involved and we're doing things based on your terms, not ours. You're going to get automated invitations to the meetings. So we have an automated system that will invite you to create a meeting on our calendar on a regular basis on whatever interval you decide. And then you're also going to get regular updates, announcements, newsletters, invitations to events, lots and lots of things that we do to make sure that we're staying out in front of you and regularly communicating with you. We don't ever want any one of our clients to say, well, they were great when I first hired them, and then we never heard from them again. That's not going to be us. So, and then if you don't schedule your meeting on a regular basis, let's say you go 13 months and you haven't scheduled a meeting with us, even though we've sent out that invitation, you will be getting a phone call from us to make sure that we're scheduling that meeting. And then finally, another thing we don't get with a lot of larger firms, when you call in, you can't get a human on the phone. We have an only human phone queue. So you're going to get a human when dealing with us. Yes, you might have to leave a voicemail from time to time if all of us are available or if it's after business hours, but we have a human phone queue. Our phone queue has only humans at the receiving end until voicemail kicks in. So we are trying to make sure that we're talking to you live, voice to voice, in as many cases as we possibly can. What you're not going to get from us, again, I mentioned this, the disappearing act, great when we first started, then go away. You're not going to get a robotic phone system where you can never reach a person, where it seems like you're always clicking buttons forever before you finally get through to a human. We want you talking to a human as early on in the call as you possibly can. Okay. And then finally, from an estate planning standpoint, what you are going to get from us is beneficiary designations on every account. I have a brief story. This is why I got into this industry. So when I started in the industry, actually even before I started in the industry, my mom, mine and Sean's mom, became terminally ill. And I went to visit with her financial planner. And I said, listen, my mom's been diagnosed with a form of cancer and it's going to be terminal. And I just want to make sure we're out in front of things. So we if there's any I's to dot now or T's to cross now, I'd rather do that now rather than make things more difficult later. And the financial advisor said, yep, don't worry about it. Everything's fine. Everything's taken care of. You just worry about taking care of your mom, and then we'll deal with everything else after the fact. But I promise you, we'll make it as easy on you as we can. That made me feel real good. My mom passes away, and it turns out she did not have beneficiaries named on her IRAs. That meant that her IRAs had to be probated. And I thought to myself, well, if I was in this industry, I could have done a better job than this guy who was helping my mom out with her financial planning. So when I got into this industry, I vowed that every single IRA particular that we have will have a beneficiary designation. We don't want any of the accounts that are with us to be probated. And so we're going to make sure that you have beneficiary designations on every single account, or it's going to be a trust account that has its own beneficiary designations. We don't want anything being probated. We are going to make recommendations that you establish estate planning documents if you don't have them. There are various options available to do that. Some of that involves getting direct help from our firm. In some cases, we might refer you to an estate planning attorney, and then also we have an in-house attorney on staff that has his own. Sean is an attorney, and that he has a separate law firm that he manages as well. So we may even refer you to that firm. If you have an estate planning attorney, we're happy to work with that estate planning attorney in conjunction with that person to make sure that your estate planning documents are all being handled the way that are in your best interest. And we also are using a system that gives us the ability to easily change designations on all assets, including your home. It gets a little complex. I don't want to get into a full into a full estate planning presentation right now, but we do have the ability to change designations on all of your assets, including a trust potentially, that could change on an annual basis without going through the expense of redoing all of your estate planning documents. So again, if you're interested in that, give us a call or talk to us or follow up with us after this webinar. But we're really, really, really proactive about these types of things now. What you're not going to get from us is failure to address a possibility of probate, like what happened to me before I got into this industry. And you're not going to get a disconnect between your financial plan and your estate plan, because we work in conjunction to even, in some cases, help you prepare those documents, or work with an estate planning attorney that is preparing those documents, and we make sure that everybody is on the same page in that regard. Okay. I put some things on here that we don't have time to get into all of this, but also these are other things that we help with and we want our clients asking us about. Whether you're thinking about buying or leasing a car, we want to be involved in that decision. Are you going to buy or rent a home? Should you make accelerated mortgage payments? Should you pay cash or get a loan for a certain home repair, something like that? And I won't read this whole list of things, but if you look here, we help you handle all of these things. A couple things that you might not understand, might not know the difference or what it is, just based on what's listed there. But things like the behavior gap. The behavior gap is the average return that an investor gets by investing has historically been about 12% per year. The average return that the average investor gets, though, has been less than that. And the reason that the investments outperform what the investors receive ultimately has been due to the behavior gap, meaning that clients get this urge to sell. The general population gets the urge to sell when things are down. And the worry or the fear that goes along with investing makes them make bad financial decisions. That's the behavior gap. So we help people keep their emotions in check and avoid that behavior gap. So that's what that one is. And again, we have lots and lots and lots of things that we can help people with. We can even help small businesses with qualified retirement plans, things like 401k plans and other qualified plans. You see a list of them right there: SEP IRA, Simple IRA, 401k, profit sharing plans, defined contribution plans. We can talk to you about what all those things are. In some cases, you could have several of those all combined into one plan in kind of a modular format, where you have a 401k that has a profit sharing plan and a defined contribution plan added on that lets the owners of the company potentially defer quite a bit of money and make potentially very measurable contributions for their employees as well, if that's their desire. So anyway, there's lots and lots and lots of things that we focus on. And again, we want to be a comprehensive lifetime financial advisor for our clients. What we want to be known as is we want to be known as a Main Street firm, not a Wall Street firm. We're a low pressure firm. That's why one of our slogans is "When you're ready, we're ready." You can see it on my backdrop here right behind me. It's printed on there. We want to have a friendly and casual atmosphere. You don't get a lot of shirts and ties around here. Matter of fact, I don't think anybody's worn a shirt and tie to this office since we moved into this one. And we want to be relationship oriented. So we want to be your lifetime financial advisor. That's another one of our slogans, your lifetime financial advisor. Looking ahead, that actually doesn't apply because this is a rehash of the presentations we already gave. You see, today was supposed to be the Medicare 101 presentation. Again, for maybe some of you who just joined, Joshua O'Brien had a death in the family, so was unable to present our Medicare presentation today. So I apologize for that. We will get Joshua back on the schedule as soon as we can, and we did have everybody who planned to attend this on record, so we'll make sure that we send out invitations for those who were interested in seeing that Medicare 101 presentation that we unfortunately had to postpone today. If you have questions for me, you can enter those into the Q&A portion. You should see a Q&A logo down at the bottom of your screen, and you can click that and enter your questions. Some other things we've got coming up on the docket next week. Jim Madel is going to be presenting a transitioning from a successful saver to a confident spender. And then on April 15th, Sean is going to be on with 10 budget killers to avoid. And then on April 22nd, Dan Leitner will have protecting your family without over-insuring them. And with that, we will open it up for questions. It doesn't look like we have any questions in the queue just yet, but if you do have a question, again, go ahead and open that Q&A link on the bottom of your screen and go ahead and type in your question. We'll leave just a couple minutes for that. And if we don't get any questions, we'll wrap it up for today. And again, we'll get back in touch with everybody as soon as we are able to get a replacement date for the Medicare 101 presentation that was originally scheduled for today. Looks like we might have one. So the question that I have, and I'm sorry, I might need a little more information here. How do I get a cost proposal? Is the question. Can you define that question a little more? Maybe a cost proposal in what regard? Maybe you can define that a little more. And then there's another question. Do I get the same rep each time I call? Each client of ours is assigned to a rep, but we're also a holistic office here. So a lot of times you might get more than one of us in a meeting. We want our clients to know multiple of the reps here because you never know what life holds. None of us are guaranteed tomorrow, so we want to make sure that we want to have a lifetime relationship with you. So yes, you work with one rep, you get the same rep when you're working with us, but we want you to know and be familiar with, and if let's say you call and one rep isn't available, we want to still have somebody here who can answer the questions for you. So everybody is capable of working with clients as advisors. We all work on all households officially, but we do have one main rep assigned to each client. What are our charges to manage the account? Okay, so the charges are on a matrix, and what we try to do, and we handle that on a specific case-by-case basis, but I can tell you what our goal is. Our goal is to be not necessarily the lowest cost firm out there, but among the lower cost firms out there who provide the same services that we do. I can say that our grid that we use is lower than grids that I've seen with my own eyes for many of the other firms that are out there. So we are very, very competitive. I can't promise we'll be the lowest, but we do plan to be very, very, very competitive with our pricing that we use. Thanks for those questions. And that might have been the question about the cost proposal too. So if you do want to reach out to us, we could give you a quote. And again, our goal is to be very, very competitive with our pricing. Okay, we'll leave another couple minutes for questions to possibly pop in. If we don't get any, we'll wrap it up for this one. Again, Joshua O'Brien, our original presenter, was unavailable today due to a death in the family, but we will get a replacement date for that Medicare presentation on the docket as quickly as we can. And another question, do you have a no-cost initial consult? Yes, absolutely we do. So if you want to set up a meeting with any one of our advisors, the first meeting is free of charge, and if nothing else, you'll likely start to work on a financial plan during that meeting. So at least you'd get the beginnings of a financial plan, and if you decide you don't want to work with us, then you come away with at least the beginnings of a plan free of charge. Obviously, we're not going to update that for everybody on an ongoing basis, but first meeting is absolutely free of charge, and we typically do start on a comprehensive financial plan during that first meeting. Okay, I think that might be it for the questions, and we're starting to be up against our 30-minute time frame here. So please stay tuned for other webinars in the future. We do these every week, every Wednesday at 11:30 Central, 12:30 Eastern, and we encourage you to attend these in the future. If you have questions for us, you can see our contact information still on your screen there. You can send us an email at info@hendrickswealth.com. You can also reach out to our main office, which is in Algonquin, Illinois, at 847-428-3997. We also have an office in Bradenton, Florida, as well. And there's our Bradenton office, 941-308-9862. That's a picture of our entire team there, the 7 of us that work with the firm. And again, to request an appointment, you can go to info@hendrickswealth.com. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your attendance, and we'll be back in touch with when we have a replacement for the Medicare 101 session that was originally planned for today. Thanks again, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take care.